It's that time of the week again, friends. Time for another volume of Messed Up Moments in Comics. This is volume 12 of Messed Up Moments in Comics, and in today's episode, I finally figure out how to use my microphone.
Finally!
It's almost impossible to believe, but it's been over 120 parts, and I finally figured out how to put my microphone on YouTube Shorts. Who'da thunk? And I'd just like to take the time to say thank you to all of you for getting us to over 75,000 subscribers in such a short time. It's honestly insane. And I have a goal of hitting 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and I think we can do it. I apologize to all of you for the delay in content recently. I have been working on two massive projects. One of them is a 5-part series of Ultimatum, which is a joy so far. And the other one that I'm scripting right now is a massive in-depth look at why Marvel hates Spider-Man. And honestly, I'd like to hear some of your guys' thoughts on it. So go ahead and comment down below on this video, why do you think Marvel hates Spider-Man? And what does Spider-Man mean to you personally? And I'm going to try to include all of the responses in that video. With all that being said, let's hop into Messed Up Moments in Comics, Volume 12.
Messed Up Moments in Comics that made us go,
What the is that?
Part 121. In Injustice Gods Among Us, issue 16, Harley Quinn starts a breakout at Arkham Asylum. Things start getting a little crazy when Solomon Grundy grabs Robin by the head. Thankfully, Superman shows up and quickly turns Grundy into a block of Swiss cheese. Quickly, Nightwing goes to Robin's rescue. But of course, this is Damian Wayne we're dealing with, so he's a douche. Big Papa Batman shows up to address the situation, and Damian Wayne and Nightwing go back to fight all of the inmates at Arkham. I don't know if you could tell, Damian's a little unhinged. Damian starts savagely beating the Riddler while he's down. And Nightwing starts saying, "That's enough, Robin." And of course, Damian says, "You're not Robin anymore." He says Superman was right, and you're as bad as Batman. And yells, "Stop telling me what to do." All before throwing a billy club, hitting Nightwing in the head, causing him to fall and break his neck on a rock.
What the f?
It's supposed to be played off as a serious moment, with Batman carrying him off into the rain, but it's probably one of the stupidest deaths in comics. Messed Up Moments in Comics that made us go,
Hey yo, what the f?
Part 122. This is Batman Damned, issue number 1. And it starts off with Batman bleeding out in the back of an ambulance. But he's slowly coming to, and just starts throwing hands to all the EMTs. After escaping, he starts hallucinating, blacking out, and ends up getting rescued by John Constantine, who, along with Deadman, end up nursing him back to health. Okay, so far everything's checking out normal. What's the catch? Well, you see, friends, this was released under what was known as DC Black Label, which you could basically compare it to Marvel Max, meaning crude language, extra violence, and occasional nudity. That's where the problem is. When this book came out, they wanted to show Batman's bits. And it caused such an uproar that they actually had to recall the book and censor it. It's like as a group, fandom finally came together and was like, don't need this! Don't need it! As far as I'm aware, all digital versions were altered, and the future printings were all changed. Good job, fans. Part 123. This is the Marvel Comics character, She-Venom, otherwise known as Anne Wang, who you may recognize from the Venom films. She's also Eddie Brock's ex-wife. And in The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2, issue number 19, Eddie Brock decides he wants a career again, his old life, and to reconnect with his wife. So he goes to her door with flowers in hand to rekindle their relationship. But the problem is, since she was She-Venom, she's been living in constant fear that the symbiote will come back for her. And when Eddie comes in, genuinely trying to reignite their relationship, she is completely mortified, as you can see on her face. She rarely, if ever, leaves the house due to her constant anxiety and fear. And Eddie tries telling her, it's okay, nothing's going to happen to her, the symbiote won't hurt her. He opens up the window to tell her everything's going to be okay. But at that exact moment, Spider-Man swings by in his black suit. She immediately goes into a fight-or-flight response. After Eddie chases Spider-Man down, he goes back to her apartment, where he sees she jumped out the window, taking her own life.
Yeah, right about here's where I figured out I could probably put my microphone audio into the short as well. So enjoy the rest of them. Messed Up Moments in Comics that made us go,
Hey yo, what the f?
Part 124. The twisted connection between Batman and the Joker has been the core of DC's comics for decades. But in a different world, their relationship is even more demented. This is the Flashpoint universe, where, due to one small change made by the Flash, nothing is the same. We all know that in the normal DC universe, Bruce Wayne grows up to become Batman. However, in the Flashpoint universe, due to sick, twisted events, Thomas and Martha Wayne never got gunned down, and instead, the young Bruce did. This change in the timeline caused Thomas Wayne to eventually become Batman, and unfortunately, Martha Wayne becomes the Joker. She was driven insane by the death of her young son, which honestly is kinda justifiable. But, you know, the fact that she ends up becoming a mass murdering psychopath is, not as justifiable. Part 125. This is Mark Gruenwald, and he was a prolific writer over at Marvel, writing for Captain America for over 10 years. In fact, you might be familiar with some of his most famous creations, such as the characters US Agent and even Crossbones. Heck, he's such a key figure at Marvel, they even based the design for Mobius on him. But famously, he wrote a 12-issue limited series for Squadron Supreme. And Mark would always joke that when he passed away, he would want his ashes to be mixed in with comic book ink and pressed into a book. And realistically, his wife never believed him. Until the day he passed away. So, since it was marked down in his will, he was cremated and his ashes were mixed with the black ink that went on to be put into this comic, a collection of all of his run of Squadron Supreme. So if you own a first print of Squadron Supreme's 12-issue collection, congratulations, you technically own a little bit of Mark too. Like and subscribe for more, and let's get to 100K. Messed up moments in comics that made us go,
What the f?
Part 126. This is the Marvel Comics character, Jessica Drew, otherwise known as Spider-Woman. And she's been a staple of Marvel Comics going all the way back to 1977, with her first appearance in Marvel Spotlight, number 32. But the fact that she was created in the first place is the messed up moment. But let me explain. You might be thinking to yourself, what, it's basically a female version of Spider-Man. What's the problem here? Well, it turns out there was another company that was going to make a cartoon with the name Spider-Woman. So, not wanting to have any copyright infringement, Marvel went ahead and created this comic. So, realistically, it's fair to say, the only reason that Jessica Drew was created in the first place was because a company was a little greedy. And I mean, I get it. Newsflash, company wants money. Okay. And originally she was only designed to be a one-off, but hilariously, she ended up becoming one of Marvel's biggest heroines. Oh yeah, and this cover had a lot of controversy. Can't see why. Comic books have some of the most iconic romantic pairings in them. I mean, just look what we have here. We have Oliver Queen and Black Canary, Batman and Catwoman, Peter and MJ, and Gwen, and Felicia. Wait a minute. With all of these incredible couples, there's no way the writers would do something to ruin them.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Oh god, no. Well, Frank Miller decided to make Black Canary hook up with Batman. Of course he did. Tom King made Selena say, "I catch flights, not feelings," when she left Bruce at the altar. And where do I even begin with Peter? MJ traded their marriage to the devil for a 93-year-old woman's life. Then she left Peter for a Giga Chad self-insert character named Paul. Gwen cheated on Peter with Norman Osborn in a now retcon story, but then she died by Peter's hand. And Felicia only prefers being with Spider-Man and not Peter, and literally vomited on Peter's crotch when she saw his face. And once again, the day is ruined, thanks to the comic book writers. Part 127. This is DC vs. Vampires. And our story begins with this man, Andrew Bennett, wrapped in bandages, being set ablaze by the sun in front of the Hall of Justice, when Green Lantern comes to his rescue. You see, Andrew is a vampire, and he begins to tell his story about how he got in this situation to Green Lantern and Zan from the Wonder Twins. He begins to say that Mary, Queen of Blood, leader of the vampires, is gone. And she had been stopping an all-out war between humans and vampires for at least 100 years. Andrew was trying to find out who took out the Queen of Vampires, and he ended up finding the Legion of Doom. But when he got there, whoever took out Mary, Queen of Vampires, had taken out the Legion of Doom as well. Lex Luthor had survived and gave him a vial of blood as proof to say, hey, get some help. Zan says he's going to get the rest of the Justice League, but wait a minute, Green Lantern said they're not here. Green Lantern says, I wish he hadn't said that. As it's revealed, Green Lantern's also a vampire who blends up and drinks one of the Wonder Twins. Messed up moments in comics that made us go,
What the f?
Part 128. This is the story of how Superman died. Our story starts off with Doomsday. Yes, the same Doomsday from BVS. Anyway, moving on. He breaks out of his containment cell, and Superman goes to put a stop to the threat. He basically tells Booster Gold to BTFO so he can handle it. And we're treated to an incredible fight. And I mean, it is brutal. I mean, look at that. Superman's getting stabbed in the gut. And they do not pull any punches. I mean, this goes on for quite a while. And Superman says to Lois, just remember, I always love you, before flying in and giving it all in his final fight, where it looks like Superman was about to win, but in the end it was too much and Superman perishes. But why did this happen in the first place? Well, you see, friends, the reason that Superman died is the messed up part. Because originally they were building up to Superman and Lois getting married, but DC couldn't have that, because Superman and Lois were getting married on the show Lois and Clark, and they couldn't have both going at the same time, so DC said, why not just kill him? Part 129. This is Invincible issue 111. And the issue starts off with Mark in a compromised state, let's say. And if you don't know why, it's because he was literally just assaulted by Anissa. Moving on. A local farmer helps him out and gives him some clothes. Then he goes and flies back to the Pentagon, where he ends up meeting up with Robot. Where Robot wishes he was more prepared before he made his move. In brutal fashion, he slashes this man's neck before he, turns him into jelly. And Mark finally snaps and beats the brakes off of him. But another version of the Robot was at Mark's house, where a verbal tussle begins between Adam Eve, Mark, and Robot. Invincible says, Eve, you gotta get out of here. But Robot hits her with a grappling hook and proceeds to violently rip her leg clean off. She is screaming in pain as it happens. They decide they have to get away quickly, and they end up going to Omni-Man, where Mark asks for help. Like and subscribe so we can hit 100k. Part 130. This is Miles Morales. And in Civil War II, he kills Captain America. Or did he? In Civil War II, issue number 5, we see Miles standing above a dead Captain America. Seemingly, Miles killed him. However, things aren't truly as they seem, because, as you see, this is all a possible insight into a future that might be, thanks to a character called Ulysses. Carol Danvers, for some unknown reason, takes this as an absolute fact, and tries to arrest Miles. Tony Stark, of all people, steps in and says, you're going a little too far here. Even Captain America is like, damn Carol, he hasn't done anything yet. And he's the one who's supposed to die. So Cap and Iron Man both say, Thor, get Miles out of here. And Carol cannot believe her eyes. She, for some reason, can't believe that these superheroes are saving a kid who has done absolutely nothing wrong. Doctor Strange then nopes him the fuck out of there. And it's so bad that even the Inhumans don't want to deal with her. And Miles starts breaking down, but remember, he hasn't done anything wrong. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like down below. And consider subscribing to the channel, as we are closely approaching 100,000 subscribers. If you'd like to support the channel in another way, consider becoming a member. And go ahead and comment down below with your favorite memories of Spider-Man and why you think Marvel hates him. New videos are uploaded every single Saturday, so go ahead and check them out. I hope you have a great day, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.